Okay, we're live. So we were chatting, and you said that that's why you love Mod. Tell me, what is it about having virtual assistants that you love?
Well, you remember when uh, we kicked around the idea of me hiring a mod assistant,
Yeah,
and I'm pretty resistant.
right.
Although I love the idea of VAs because I already had at the time we talked a little over a year ago. I had three, but they were local. They were in town, and even though I didn't see them, but maybe three times a year,
Hmm.
the idea that they were, you know, within a few miles of me, for some reason brought me comfort.
Yeah.
But none of them could do what I needed. And at the time, I needed somebody to run my software business, which I had a guy that he just outgrew it. You know, he was in his 70s and he was ready to retire. And
Mm-hmm.
so he'd been doing it for like 4 years. And so, man, I was actually moonlighting, like doing all the stuff I do and then spending like 4 hours every night just
Jeez.
answering like support tickets and stuff. It was terrible, because the whole idea of hiring is, who do you find? How do you screen them? How do you? I mean, I know how to do that, but I just didn't have
You,
the time to do it,
you didn't
and
want to do
just
it. You didn't
I
want
didn't
to do.
want to do it. I didn't
That's
want to
right.
do it. It was a nightmare.
Well,
And
so
so,
people need to know
yeah,
that so you're a real estate broker, been in it since 2003. Knolly's kind of
yeah,
like a famous guy, actually. People remember the hat, and everybody loves your wife, and he trains and speaks, and people pay him a lot of money to do what he does in the real estate space. And you created your own CRM for your
yeah,
business, and then you started offering it out to other people, and that's what you
right.
needed help with.
Yeah, at the time I said, that's what that's like the immediate need.
Right.
But sometimes we pigeonhole. I would say, well, mod doesn't really have VAs for this. Um, but I remember when I sat down with you, it was at a convention, and you were like, dude, just hire one of our people. Just, stop making excuses. Go over, sign up.
Yeah.
And I did. And man, we it hit off the park, out of the park, first one at bat. I've had real good success.
So what's the
Um,
R? So forget about real good success. Tell me what the return on investment has been for you. Like when you think about what you were spending and the time and the energy and the effort and the dollars without the
yeah.
VA versus where you are now. What's happened?
Well, I bill myself out when I coach is 500 an hour, so I don't even want to tabulate, the time. But what it really and to me, Daniel, the big thing for me is really my time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want back more than anything else. But he's actually grown the company. He's our revenues are up 22%, and he does everything. He handles support tickets. He does the social media, and he's got a college degree in IT, and so he's perfect, man. And plus, he gets all of my team out of jams. Whenever we buy a new computer, he sets them up for us. Whenever we have get a bug, which I got this new Lenovo laptop,
Yeah.
and man, I got some kind of bug on it right away, and he cleaned it up, fixed it up for me. So he's our IT guy as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. And what do you pay
Yeah.
him an hour?
It's what is it, 8 something an hour
Eight.
for?
It's
Is
so.
that right?
It's 860 an hour.
860. Okay.
What
Yeah.
would you have to pay to have that guy in house? What do you think if you were hiring some guy in your city?
No, if I could find somebody that was really needed the work and couldn't find a job, probably 25 an hour. But you got to remember too, and that'd probably be cheap. In Texas, you can get away with it. You got to remember also that the taxes and insurance. I'd have to pay. Now you got to pay that insurance for full timers, right?
Right.
And then your taxes, you're throwing another 15% minimum,
Right.
just in payroll tax. So on whatever you're paying, so that kicks that number up to maybe 30, 35 an hour.
Right. Cool.
So
And you hired a couple
yeah,
other ones too. Like, tell me about what
yeah.
they do for you and how they help you in your business.
So Chris took probably about 2 weeks to train and get up and running.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I spend with him. I probably spend an hour a week now,
Mm.
and he handles everything.
How hard was it
Um,
to get him to, like you said, a couple weeks to get him up to speed? When was he like perfectly trained? No time for you.
well, the good thing, we have a lot of documentation because I'm a systems guy, so we had a bunch of videos, a lot of documentation. So he was able to self-study a lot of it, and then I was able to spend maybe 2 or 3 hours a day for 10 days. And so that was about it. That was the extent of, and that's the time I was spending like every night anyway, away from my family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to keep the support piece of the business together.
Right.
And right now we have over 7,000 agents that use the software.
Wow.
Luckily, it's easy to use, so we don't create a whole lot of support tickets. But somebody's got to be there you know, for when they need help.
So what if somebody's watching this and they're interested in like actually utilizing your software? What's the website? How do they find out about it? What does it cost? I'm just curiosity.
So the model is a freemium. It's free up to 250 contacts, and and then if you go over 250 contacts, it's $14 a month for premium.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also module based, so you could, if you have the automated newsletter, that's $5 a month. If you have the showing feedback, showing surveys, it's $5 a month. Or if you have the email campaigns, it's $5 a month. So you can get any of those at 5 a month, or the whole thing for 14 a month. And that's the max. And so it's economical. It's real easy to use. We actually built it just for our team because we were using, I started computer programming when I was 12 years old, and we were using, uh, I can pretty much get my way around any system, but my assistants, man, they just would not use what we were using. And I was the support guy, like, how do we do this? How do we do that? So I had to constantly answer questions. So we were like, it would be nice if we could create an easy one. So Barbara reared in on my team. She's like my test. She's in her 70s, and if Barbara can do it, anybody. She's an admin, man. She's an admin. But
I
she's you know, right click or left click. That's Barbara there.
I
So
love it.
uh, so
Okay.
it's super easy to use, admins love it. It's moresolds, moresolds.com.
Okay. Cool. And guys, if you're thinking about a CRM, the alternatives are at least $100 a month. So Knolly's option is super inexpensive and it works really well. It's easy to use. I would definitely think about it. Okay, so you have two other VAs, right?
Yeah.
What do
Well,
they what do they what do they do for you?
so when you think about it, Daniel, right now, and this is kind of a interesting concept, but right now I have three full-time VAs. So they are taking 120 hours a week um, between them off of my plate. I don't have 100. There's only 168 hours in a week, right?
Hmm.
Including all 24 times 7. So they really have created a lifestyle for me where I can just work a few hours a day. Because if you've got people work, so my second VA, I hired her to. I was like, I wonder if this is even possible. But I was doing all my own booking for my. I like to travel. I love to teach. Like it's in my heart to
Yeah.
teach and
Yeah.
train.
Yeah.
So I travel across the country and I do seminars. And I really didn't trust anybody with that. Nobody on my team, nobody local that I could find that could do it. I found one gal out of San Diego that possibly could do it because she had done it before. So I just gave it a try, and I taught, my second VA my entire booking system for booking our events. And there's a lot of steps to it. And we actually have a training manual just for that now. And she picked it up, man, within probably about 4 or 5 days.
So
It just
is she calling people and asking them to have you come to their office? Like,
She was. Now what we're doing, I'm a little bit more strategic about where I want to go. She
hmm,
doesn't really know, like, okay, Nolly really wants to go here, and I could circle them and say, hey, call these people.
yeah.
But a lot of times people, or it may be a self-limiting belief of mine, but they like to hear from the man. Like, hey, I want to come to your office or your city. And then once, but it's a 5 or 10 minute, maybe a 12-minute phone call or an email.
Yeah.
And then once they say, yeah, we want to have you, then I just hand it over to her. So it's probably 15 minutes of my time that I spend. It's like kind of like generating a listing lead. You generate the listing appointment, you talk to the person on the phone, and you're done.
Right.
She does everything from that point on, all the way through the flyer, the Eventbrite, the marketing, promotion, everything.
Yeah. And so it's like a little bit between like project management and event coordination. Like
Yeah,
it's a combination
correct,
of those two. Okay, cool.
correct,
And
correct. Yeah.
and rate that person. What's your return on investment there? What do you think, or in your case, return on time investment? Um, what do you think you're saving versus spending?
Well, right now with that individual, I'm saving at least 25 hours a week of the time that I was spending doing this. And you gotta understand this is big stuff that I do and I do really well, like I'm real good at it, but it's not, top dollar productive,
You're not
you know?
passionate about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not. And I'm passionate about getting up and performing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the guy, I like to get up and perform, but all the stuff to get to the stage or to get to the front of the room, um, I don't mind doing it. And in some ways, I kind of like doing it,
Right.
but it's not what I should be doing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's not dollar
Yeah,
productive activity. That's right.
at all.
Okay, cool. What's
Yeah.
your third VA do?
So my third VA is an assistant to my event coordinator. So because we have products and things that we sell, at the events,
Mm-hmm.
and tools that we make available,
Mm-hmm.
resources, we have someone that uh, after the event is over, they help explain things to any questions that come in. They also do a lot of what we call data mining,
Yeah.
which is like if I'm going to a city, we need to look up email addresses for certain agents, not all of them, but certain agents that we want to invite out, to the event. Um, and she does a lot of phone work, phone calls, ISA, inside sales work,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and just generally assists. Um, she does all the data entry and as well as processing orders and all that kind of stuff.
So how are their? I mean, if you look at all of their skill sets in terms of writing English and speaking English, where do they land?
So Joyce, who runs my training, well, they land very high. So she I believe she was an English uh, teacher,
Mm-hmm.
or she has a degree in English, I believe.
Mm.
I mean, as far as the grammar, they actually proofread all of my manuscripts. I just finished my book. See if I've got it. See if I've got the manuscript. I thought I had. Oh, here it is. Um, if you can see this, this is the manuscript for Success with Listings. It's going to be about 350 page training guide for um, agents having success with listings. So they do all my proofreading, and even I think one of the big concerns I had early on was their diction, like how do they speak, how do they articulate, what's their grammar in writing,
Right.
and what I found was they're actually a bit formal, which is actually pleasant. Like it's the style of writing is very refreshing,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's I, they basically do it all, man. But it's off the chart. The next person I would hire, and what I encourage my students to hire is if I keep my team running, you know, is somebody that just to do ISA work for calling expireds, for sale by owners, circle prospecting, and phone work like that, because
Mm-hmm.
they're excellent at that as well.
Yeah. So if somebody's listening and they want to either get this book or get another book that you've written a couple of really good books actually, or any training material or any guides that I mean, where would somebody go and what would they do?
Well, there's a couple. The big thing is successwithlistings.com, because
Perfect.
that's that's my passion, man. I got into real estate. I took over 1,000 listings my first 10 years in the business. And I was just thinking about this the other day because my wife and I just got back 3, 4 days ago
Mm-hmm.
from 14 days in Maui,
Mm-hmm.
and the wonderful thing when you got VAs, I was able to get up in the morning, sunrise. Well, not actually sunrise because it rises pretty early there. But about 7:30, man, I'd be done with work by 8:30 or 9, and I can go work on my tan. That's what I like. That's what I like to
Yeah.
do. I go out to the beach. We had a blast, man. We had a great time,
Yeah.
and it was real refreshing knowing that my VAs were just on top of everything.
And your business kept running.
Kept running.
And you get to have a vacation and just do a check-in and make sure everything's cool. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
deal. So what would you tell somebody who's on the fence right now of considering hiring a virtual assistant versus not hiring a virtual assistant? What was the one thing that you did you think that drove the success of hiring the right folks and doing this virtual world?
The hiring of VA is really what I call a game changer. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, it really changes your life. And the cool thing about well, here I was going to say the cool thing about we talked about that, but the flaw that a lot of agents maybe have or maybe run into is that they wait too long to hire help. And what happens there, Daniel, is they end up burning themselves out. They burn out their family,
Yeah.
and they do themselves a real disservice. They do a lot of work um, that really should not be done by them. Honestly, in my listing system, talking about in my Success with Listings book that'll be out in October, I identify I have a 46-step listing system for my team,
Right.
and I I believe that a listing specialist should only be doing about 3 of those 46 functions.
Mm-hmm.
At the you could maybe be doing 5, 6, or 7 of them, but really you can get to the point where you're doing 3, and your VA can really handle, or others should be able to handle everything else for you.
So let's do
Um,
this. Let's do this. Everybody who's listening to this, would you give them the 46 steps?
yeah, of course, of
Just
course.
that one part, because they'd have to buy.
Yeah.
They need to buy your book because your
I'll
book's
give them
amazing.
that whole chapter of the book, and so that's already finished. So I'll send that to you. You can get
Bam.
that.
So if you're listening, you're gonna get a copy of the 46 steps, 3 of which should be done by your listing assistant. The other 43 could be done by a VA.
Yeah, yeah. The really when it boils down to it, your listing assistant should be able to do everything like you said. Now you might hold on to lead generation, and if you do, then you're focused on only being the rainmaker, the lead generator, and your work day is from 9 to 11. That's your work day.
That's
You
right.
don't do anything else. Now, if you do go on listing appointments, then your morning should be filled with lead generation, your afternoons with appointments, right? But after you get the listing signed, you don't do anything else. Plus, you're not drawing up a listing agreement, right?
Yeah.
You're not putting the listing packet together. You're not putting the pre-listing packet together. You're not doing any of that stuff.
You're not taking calls. What's going on with
No,
my house?
no, and not only are you not taking those calls, but you're not even taking incoming seller calls.
That's right.
You know, your ISA takes the incoming seller calls, and they give you a one sheet with all the data from that seller, so that when you call, you can articulate with some credibility, and you can start winning the listing over the phone. We know that in today's landscape, you've got to win that listing before you ever show up at the house.
Right.
The sellers are cocky right now.
It's a seller's market, man. Everybody, I
Yeah,
mean, there's no inventory. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, so what's the one thing that you would want to tell somebody who's thinking about it? I mean, you
well,
said don't wait, but
yeah, just
what's
do it.
made you successful though?
I hired my first assistant. Okay, I didn't know anything about VAs, but after I got my license, I had my first assistant within 2 months. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I had my first full-time assistant within 8 months, and that was too long, right?
Yeah.
When I look back, Daniel, and I just thought about this when I came back um, from our trip, from our little vacation, and I like to travel. I love taking time off. I like to play, man, because I hate to say I've earned it, but we put in some some dues,
That's right.
one listing appointment at a time, over 1,000 of them, right? And so I tell agents, don't wait to hire someone to take over your admin. If you can get a VA right now, even if it's just 20 hours a week. I had a agent call me while I was in Maui, like, well, I don't have 20 hours a week. Well, what do you have? Like 10 hours a week? even if you hired somebody 20 hours a week and you only had 10 hours worth of stuff, you're still ahead, right?
Right.
But if you only have 10 hours of stuff, partner up with another agent and split the bill.
Or call us and we'll help you find another 10 hours. People
I like
don't
that.
people don't understand, man. Like my VA,
Prospecting.
well, my VA checks my emails, sets
Yeah,
appointments, like
yeah.
she'll, like I went out to dinner the last Friday with a friend, a mentor of mine. He's an older gentleman who's like a really successful real estate guy. And my VA set the appointment, called him up, made the reservation, confirmed it, put on my calendar, put it on his calendar. And the day that we were going to dinner, we just walked into dinner. So there's a lot of
Yeah,
options with a VA, even if you only think you have 10
I
hours.
love that. And
Yeah,
people respect that. People respect that. A lot of times we feel like we have to be the one to do all that stuff. That's not so.
no.
I mean, I went to the uh, dentist today, got my teeth cleaned. My dentist didn't show up. I mean, he had his hygienist there. I mean, he came by and said hi, but he didn't do any work on my teeth.
No,
And if I hadn't seen him, I wouldn't have been disappointed.
no,
You know.
no. And the thing is, what we're so blessed and lucky to be in real estate, it's such a great industry. We don't have to have a physical office. I mean, we can if you choose to.
You see my popcorn machine back there,
I know,
huh?
dude.
You know,
Well, the
I,
thing is, we don't have any inventory, by the way. We
right.
don't have any capital improvement expenses.
Yeah.
We definitely don't have to have any heavy equipment. No manufacturer. Like we have to pay nothing to get the thing that we make money from. Our product is
Absolutely.
somebody else's home that they bought. We don't have to
Yeah.
put our money into it. Like,
Absolutely.
and so we have this awesome business, and so many people fall down when it comes to leverage that, and we
Oh
have such
man.
a great product. That's the thing.
Yeah, and it's very sad to see. I was in a business. Talked about my popcorn machine because I could very well anytime. I'm in my home office right now, but anytime I'm doing this kind of thing, I mean, I could very well be in a hotel room. I do listing appointments over the phone, right? There's so many different things that we have now available, like Join.me and Skype and so on,
Or
that
Google Hangout. Google
Google
Hangout.
Hangout, man, and people love it, and I have a listing specialist that goes out and does everything. So I could be in any city, anywhere, any part of the world, and still run my business.
I
You
love
know,
it. I love it. A lot of we'll talk to this. You are a checklist guy,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's another place that people fall down. And I want to make sure, like the training and the time that you put in, it's just as good as you want it to be. So you hire a VA, you chat with them every day. In the beginning, you give them some lists. They work through them. When they have questions, you answer them. I text message on my cell phone. I Skype. I sometimes GChat, email.
yeah,
But it's really not that hard. I'll jump in the car. I'll check in with my VA for 5 or 10 minutes. Hey, what do you got going for me today? She sends me my schedule in the morning via text. Every morning, I get a text at 7:45 ish, and it says what I'm doing for the whole day. Like
right, absolutely,
there's
absolutely,
so many options, and people really need to make sure they're utilizing and doing their highest and best purpose.
absolutely, absolutely. It frightens a lot of agents, or they don't have a comfort level when it comes to hiring because they're like, man, what am I going to tell the person to do? They maybe they're just not good at delegating because they feel like they have to do everything. The
Hmm.
good news is you don't have to do everything, and you don't have to do most of what you are doing right now.
That's right.
Most of what agents do, Daniel, is the stuff that burns them out and is going to end up burning them
Hmm.
out in the long run. You
Yeah.
know, there's no way you could do. I couldn't have done 1,000 listings in 10 years without leverage. You know, um, and
Hmm.
if I didn't have leverage, I would have had to leave a lot of money on the table, or I would have, really spent a lot more time away from my family than I'm willing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense, man.
Yeah.
Nolly Williams, as always, one of my favorite guys to chat with. Thanks for
Same here, buddy.
thanks